So we're session 3 today of preparing for the glory. So what I'm going to talk about is the glory by it being his protection. All right. So the glory in this example is still his manifest presence, right? But its purpose is different. So, you know, we talked about his manifest presence before. He manifested himself to Moses to let Moses know that he was going to be with them, right? Well, in these examples that we're going to look at, and there's another example that I'm going to tell you here in a second that I didn't type out, but the primary purpose of him manifesting himself is to protect his people in these examples. And I know I told the story in here before, but it was of a young girl who parents let her go to a party, and she decided she was going to take a shortcut through the woods, right? And when she got to the other side of the woods, there was a man standing there. And thank God she was a Christian girl and she was taught the ways of God and stuff like that. So she said a quick prayer. She said, "Father, will you just be with me while I walk through here?" And she walked through. The man didn't do anything to her, didn't even look at her. So the next day, it was all over the news that about that time that she walked through, maybe a little after, a girl had got raped on that same trail. And then when they started trying to describe who they thought it was, she told her parents, "That man was standing there when I walked by." So they allowed her to go and identify the man and all of that. And she asked if she could talk to him. And she got to talk to him. I don't know if there was a span of time or anything between. And she asked him, "How come you didn't rape me when I walked by?" And he said, "I remember you. You had 2 big guys with you." Right. She has 2 big angels with her. So that goes to show you that even in today's day and time, God will manifest himself to protect his children. You know, and that kind of goes with a little bit what I was saying earlier. You know, you have to be walking in obedience, though, in order to get that protection. Because guaranteed, if she would have been like, if her mama would have told her, "No, you can't go," and she snuck out, she probably would not have gotten God's protection because she dishonored her mother. And she was off the train tracks and hit a patch of black ice at the same time a train was coming. And she said she saw a really, really bright light, but it circled her around, and it kept going round and around in a circle, and it stopped her from hitting the train.
No, she did it 3 times.
She did.
Hold down the pole.
Yeah, I remember she said she towed down the pole
and walked away.
Without a scratch.
Is that not protection?
Yeah, and they thought, no, this was whoever here is dead.
Is that not protection? Right? One of the ladies at our church.
Yeah, and she's,
you know,
she's a preacher.
Jesse Duplantis. He said when he was a teenager, I forget how old, that he got into a car accident. He was driving his girlfriend's car, you know, acting silly or whatever. He said the car rolled several times. He said his mama rolled by and was like, "Oh, it's a bad accident. Let's pray for him." Not knowing that was her son. But he said that while he was in this car, he felt something holding him back. Because, you know, them old cars, first of all, there was no seatbelt law.
And it's metal.
And them old cars,
Yeah.
them steering wheels used to go through chests.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But God kept him. That's protection. So rear guard, the definition of rear guard, right? Because a lot of times we don't break down what the words, right? So it's the soldier's position at the rear of a body of troops, especially those protecting an army when it is in retreat. It's a defensive or conservative element in an organization. Okay? So that's the one that's behind you, right? So from what this verse is telling us is that God has positioned his glory to protect us in defense, right? And it's from behind as we advance forward, right? So in other words, God got your back. And and there's nothing that can penetrate that wall of defense. I mean, from the examples that we've seen, the car accidents, people getting raped, and I mean, there's stories of people talking about they dodged bullets. I mean, I know it was in the Matrix, but it has happened for real. You know, little simple stuff where people will tell stories of, well, something just told me to just step 1 inch to the left, and then a bullet whizzed by on the right. You know, those types of stories. Okay, maybe the angel didn't actually reach out and touch you, but he kept you intact. Right? And what I like about it is that it's not the angel armies in these examples, that's the rear guard. You know, but even though the angels would be enough, I'm not discounting our angels because they are awesome and amazing. And if God sent one angel, that one angel would be more than enough. But this is actually God himself being our rear guard. Right? And one other thing, I know I put it on here somewhere, but this is that these troops were especially important in retreat. Right? And I know us as Christians, we are not supposed to retreat. We are not supposed to tuck our tails and run. We're not supposed to wave that white flag. But guess what we do? And when we tuck our tails and run, what do they tell you? If you're ever fighting, like I did karate for a little bit, they tell you, you never lower your eyes to your enemy. And you never turn your back. I don't care if you getting beat to a pulp. You turn your back, you're done. Well, whatever they gonna do, you can't defend yourself. And then if you fall flat on your face, right? If you fall flat on your face, you down like this. Can you hit?
No. And if you looking down, you can't even see what nobody getting ready to hit you with.
So that is why it is so important to have a rear guard. And you know, us, we like to say, you know, girl, I got your back, woo, woo, woo. It's so important to have somebody who really has your back.
Yes, it is.
You know, that's where that phrase came from. Yeah, I got your back way back. But God is not like that. God has our back from right here where we are.
That's why he said vengeance is mine.
That's right. So my next verse is Exodus 14, verses 9. Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 through 20. It says, "And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel." So now you have an angel of the Lord and you got the cloud. And a lot of times people want to make them be the same. But if they were the same, there would be no reason to mention both of them in separate occasions. Because the angel of the Lord went behind first. Then the cloud went behind. So now we got an angel and a cloud. And the whole purpose of them being there is to keep a separation between the camp of the Israelites and the Egyptians. I don't care how close your enemy is on you. I don't care. They might be right here. But we have to understand and realize that there is still the glory of the God keeping us apart. It might look like they could reach out and touch me, but they can't. And what God has been doing with me, sitting over there, Pastor Sandy, for a couple days, there was a big wolf spider in the window. And he bothered me. Just bothered me.
Did nobody want to kill him?
Well, he was outside. Okay. And you know, he ain't bother nobody because he outside. But I kept saying, he bothering me.
I don't like him.
You know. So then, you know how we are. We start praying. He was like this. He was a nice
Like the woolly guys.
little fuzzy, yeah. But, I mean, he wasn't, I don't think he would have tried to do nothing or whatever.
Did he jump on you when you come to the door and stuff?
No, he wasn't even by the door. He was in the window where I usually sit. You know, so I can see him every time I sit down, and he got his nice spider web there and all that stuff. And so there was always a pane of glass between me and him.
Okay.
Right? So, you know how we get. we want to pray about everything, right? So I start saying, Lord, move on somebody's heart to go kill that spider. You know, and every time I see that spider, I say, you're dead. You're dead. You know, I'm speaking it right. You're dead. Right? And then finally the Lord said, that's exactly how the devil is in your life. He's sitting right there. He's so close you can reach out and touch him. But guess what? You can't. And he can't touch you. Because you have an invisible force field. And that's what he said. You have an invisible force field between you two. That piece of glass, as long as that spider is on that side of that glass, he can't touch you, he can't harm you, he can't do nothing to you. So at the same way, that's how the devil is. You got my glory in between you and him. So no matter what you doing, what you got going on, he can't touch you. As long as you are walking and doing what I'm telling you to do and what you're supposed to be doing, he can't touch you. You got this invisible force field between you. Yes, he sees you. And you could tell the spider can see you because he would move when you get too close to it. And you know, I'm messing with the window now like, don't you want to leave? Do something. You know, but we're supposed to do that too. Put the devil on the run. If you believe truly in your heart of hearts that the devil can't harm you, why are we playing the defense instead of the offense? The ball is in our court. It's up to us to play it or not. Right? So, for his glory, for us now, his glory still protects us. I skipped the part. So in this example, the children of Israel had an angel and a cloud. The cloud was the glory of God's manifestation. And its purpose at this moment was to be the barrier between God and his people, God's people and the Egyptians. This was God's protection for his people, just like the good shepherd that he is. So remember, we talked about the good shepherd. The good shepherd goes before his people, right? Before his sheep. So whatever you may encounter coming up on you, he's already encountered it. But then at the same time, he will circle around his flock if the wolf is coming up on behind. And that's exactly what he did in this example. He was in front of them. You know, and if you look at what was happening, he led them through the wilderness. By cloud and by fire, right? However, whenever an enemy came up, he was there. And he positioned himself in the right place. That's right. So, for us now, the glory still protects us from attacks from behind when we are weak like the children of Israel. Also, and I already pointed this out, what the rear guard was so important during the times of retreat. And we retreat all the time. Whether we want to say it or not. That's when we're running from our enemies. We're running from situations and circumstances of life. You know, the doctor said this is going on. Well, what did you say to the doctor? If we don't say the right thing in the right moment, we got to answer. However, we answered the wrong way, that's a sign of retreat.
Okay.
You know, because a lot of times you want to think about these big, big battles, you know, and oh, it don't look good. But the little things that happen every single day, are we retreating? You know. Something. You got to say something versus just, oh, well, the doctor said.
That's accepting it.
Yeah. Because whose report are we going to believe? If I'm going to throw in the towel and just give up and die and believe what the doctor said, or am I going to believe the report of the Lord? You know, when it comes to our children and we're looking at the issues that each child has, are we going to believe what these issues are? Or are we going to say, no, as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. And we're going to stand on God. We're going to stay enforced and engaged. And I mean, yesterday, y'all know what I do. Y'all know I'm nuts. So, you know, I asked Angel, did you read your devotional today? She said, yeah, DJ do this. Oh, that means you did not. Did you pray today? DJ goes,
So you know he did.
you ain't prayed today. And every time we go through this, sometimes he do, sometimes he don't. But I make sure that they are well aware that guess what? Mom not gonna be able to pray for you every single day. Or I would like to say that I will be here forever. I would like to say that, you know, I'm going to be able to do this, that, and the other. But we are supposed to be raising our kids to be prayer warriors, to be able to handle these things on their own so that they don't tuck their tail and run.
Because they have more authority over their own lives than sometimes than we do.
So, you know. So, if we recall the story with the Israelites, every time you turned around, they wanted to tuck their tail and run. Every single time, right? So even when it looked like the enemy was going to get them, and that's when they wanted to run, was when, oh, the Egyptians are here, God showed up and had their back. And we can be 100% guaranteed that no matter what happens in our life, God will show up and have our backs.
How about when that one angel
Amen.